Welcome to Founders Marketing Compass. My name is Etgar Shpivak. With my experience as a co founder and as a marketer, I'm interviewing founders and investors to learn how to build healthy, lasting relationships between startup founders and their marketing teams. Today, I'm hosting Guy Binyamin, the CEO of Healthee, that simplify access to health benefits. Hello, Guy.
Hey, great to be here.
Thank you so much. Happy if you can tell me and the viewers a bit about yourself, about your journey, and about what you're doing. And
I'm Guy Benjamin. I'm originally from Israel, grew up there. I'm the youngest of four brothers. First career was a bit different. I used to be in the Air Force, I used to be a fighter pilot. I flew F-16s for about 13 years. Then came to the US about 12 years ago. Went to Yale for my MBA and then worked at McKinsey, the consulting firm, for about 7 years. And while I was working at McKinsey in New York, I kind of realized that it's probably easier to fly a jet than to navigate health benefits. And every time I had a question, I would go to HR. They would send me to a call center. Wasn't really the experience I was hoping to get, and thought that there has to be a way to kind of leverage technology to access health and wellness benefits. So left McKinsey about 3 years ago, and together with my co-founders, we started Healthee. And Healthee is a one-stop for health and wellness benefits, basically a platform where employees can figure out what is the best plan for them and their families. They can navigate their care, find providers, book appointments, know what they're covered for, what benefits they have, see how much things are going to cost for them before they get it done. And then also talk to virtual providers at no cost. So therapists and telemedicine providers, no cost. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. We work today with thousands and thousands of employers, hundreds of thousands of employees are using us, and we help them, first of all, be smarter healthcare consumers, but also reduce significantly their cost and their employer cost for healthcare.
you figure out a huge problem. And
Mm-hmm.
not only this, I know that the idea itself is very nice, but have a value of zero. And I think that the way that you execute it is a masterpiece, and I'm sure that a lot of people would love to learn from you and get a glimpse on the way that you managed to achieve those amazing numbers.
Happy to talk about that too. So look, I think you're right. Like an idea doesn't have much value if you don't execute it in the right way. And I think we're super focused on execution. And I think our execution, first of all, is our people. We have a very strong, talented group of leaders and employees that are very, very passionate about what we're doing, right? At the end of the day, we're helping employees be healthier. We're trying to make them live their healthier lives, their healthiest lives effortlessly. Because today it takes a lot of effort to kind of know what you're covered for and what can you do. And again, to be healthy in the US takes effort. We're trying to make this effortlessly. And it all starts with our people. We have, again, people that came our marketing and our R&D and design and sales and customer success, product, people, really, really strong talent. And they're their first kind of like reason that we're able to execute so well. And the other reason is that we're really obsessed about impact, and we're obsessed about the user experience, and we're obsessed about just getting our platform to as many employees as we can, meaning we work with distribution channels, we work with partners. We're constantly signing more partners to kind of help us bring the technology, this AI technology, to, again, as many employees as we can. There's 160 million employees in the US that are covered by their employer for their health insurance. That's almost an unlimited market, right? So if we're like today very close to, let's say, a million, there's still 159 million more people that could use our platform, and everybody could use our Healthee, because everybody should have the ability to be healthy effortlessly. So that's what I would say kind of like really helped us focus on be good on execution, which is our people, our focus, and our mentality of being obsessed about this.
How do you define your marketing team KPI? How do you decide this is my North Star and I want that everyone in the company, and especially in the marketing department, will wake up and sleep at night on this KPI?
First of all, it's not on me to kind of define that, because I'm not a marketing person, right? And that's why I kind of surround myself. I'm not a marketing person. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a culture. All of these things. I'm surrounding myself with people that are much stronger or much smarter than me on these topics. So, for example, for our marketing, we have our VP marketing, Omer. who's been doing this for years. He's kind of the one who's defined it. I think our main KPI is number of leads that we are able to. First of all, our main KPIs is revenues, right? Like how many deals we're closing. And even more than that, we have a KPI of engagement and how many people are using our platform and how much money we're saving for our customers and our users. But for marketing, it's number of leads that we are able to bring into the company. And it could be leads from inbound, it could be leads from conferences that we're doing, putting our name out there and seeing if it creates the result that we want to see. But at the end of the day, marketing needs to create a pipeline, right? And that's their main KPI: how much money we're creating in the pipeline, how much potential revenues we're getting through marketing. And again, marketing is everywhere. Marketing is in our sales effort. It's in our user product marketing, right, which is important. It's in our brand. It touches every aspect of the company, right? When you think about, if I go now through all of our departments, right, people, customer success, sales, design, marketing touches everything.
As a founder, you work with different stakeholders, and some of them seeing the very long-term vision goal. This is what you communicate, I assume, to your board. This is what you communicate to your investors. We have a very big, bold, and long-term goal. And then to the VP marketing on the day-to-day meetings, we talk about very short-term goals. And sometimes many startups, they can see only until the next runway of their previous round. And it's a big question that I know that many founders struggle how to balance between this very long vision, very, I want to make this huge impact and to be used by 100 million people in the US, for example, to the tomorrow you need to give me 100 leads that worth $10 million. How do
Yeah.
you balance and how do you communicate this internally?
Our VP marketing is part of our leadership team, and he thinks strategically the exact same way that I think strategically. And I expect that from everyone in our leadership team, right? He's not only looking, no one in our leadership is only looking at the next milestone. They're all looking at the vision, right? The vision is to become the biggest company in this space. The vision is to help as many employees as possible. The vision is that every employee in the US will have access to Healthee, which by that have better access to their healthcare and help them be healthier. So first of all, we talk about the vision all the time, right? Now, when you think about shorter term, yes, of course, we have targets, right? We have targets for our sales, we have targets for this year, for next year, and we know exactly, okay, to get to that number of sales, if we want to get to a specific number next year, we know how much revenues we need to have in our pipeline, potential revenues, right? And that's kind of like the next pipeline. And we work on a quarterly basis, even though for us, because we sell to many different types of customers. We sell to large employers, right? It could be an employer of 120,000 lives, and it could be an employer with 2,000 lives. We also sell through brokers that helps us sell to smaller customers. We also sell through partnerships, and each one of those type of customers have a very, very different life cycle, a sales life cycle, right? So for example, for us to close a small customer next quarter, they should probably be in our pipeline at least a quarter before. Sometimes you can get them in like at the beginning of the quarter and they'll close by the end of the quarter. That happens. For a large customer, if we want to close them, for example, for our largest customers this year, we're not going to sell to probably not to many more new customers that are not in our pipeline. Most, if not all of the customers that are going to be closed, or enterprise customers that we're going to close this year, are already in our pipeline. We already met them. They already know about us. They're starting to think about it because that's the sales cycle, right? They need to meet you. There's a few months. Sometimes it takes 6, sometimes it takes 18 months. So now the marketing is actually not even focused on this year anymore. They're now focused on next year because next year target is obviously much higher, and they're now building a pipeline for 2025. So all of the things that they're doing between now and the end of the year is to keep building that pipeline for 2025. And then in 2025, for the first 6 months, same thing. They'll do what we call planting, right? They'll plant the seed. So in the second half of the year, we can go harvest. So that's kind of like the way we operate. Like our sales cycles are sometimes really long. So we need to make sure that everything that we want to close this year should already be in the...
How do you measure the effectiveness of your marketing? Is this by channel? Is this by category? Is this by, and this is the brand, it's measured this and this is the acquisition measured this and this? Or you say, I have a different measures, like you said, with in terms of life cycle, for the short, for the smaller clients, for the partnership, for the brokers, for the enterprises?
So there's different ways that we measure our marketing. First of all, there's, as I mentioned, pipeline is one of the biggest ways to measure our marketing. How much potential revenues we have in our pipeline, meaning a lead that expressed some interest and they're now in our pipeline. We need to go through the motion of getting them from a lead to a closed and signed deal. The second thing is also how many impressions we have, how many followers we have on social media, how much traction we get from events that we create. We do a webinar, how many people show up? We publish a piece, right? Like a white paper or an article. How many people actually download it and use it? How many people go on our website and ask for a demo? How many people go on our website and sign up for a newsletter? There's many, many different KPIs. At the end of the day, they're all coming to that pipeline. How do we create and increase our pipeline? But we got to remember that marketing is there's a lot of art into it too. And again, Omer is kind of like the expert here, right? I'm not even going to try to be to kind of mimic what he usually does, but he's great at understanding that it's not just, hey, did we get the lead now? Can we create emotion that eventually the lead is going to come in, right? It could start with them just looking at a white label, and then it could be them joining a webinar. It can then be them hearing about us from like a conference they attend, and eventually they'll become a lead. Eventually they'll ask for a demo, right? But it takes time. It's a life cycle to get those leads into the pipeline and then become actual legitimate leads, right? So it's something that we need to remember that there's a time axis as well, right? You can't expect to go to a lead right now and then they go into the pipeline right away. There could be a few things that you need to do to make that happen, and you got to be patient. You got to be patient, but you also got to be able to measure all the efforts that you're putting into this, because obviously we put a lot of money in our marketing, right? It's one of our biggest expenses, and it could be on. We go to a conference. Okay, how many leads we got from that conference? How many of those leads actually converted over time? Like I can tell you today that conferences that we attended earlier in the year, in February, for example, in January, we know our ROI on those conferences was very high, because it's enough for us to close 2-3 deals from every conference, and we're obviously 10x ROI on our cost. So those are things that we also measure, right? It also helps us understand what are the conferences that we need to attend next year based on the ROI that we got this year, right? And we're constantly measuring that. We're constantly thinking, okay, because we're a startup, we're limited resources, right? Resources are obviously it's not only money, it's also our time, right? Every conference like that takes a lot of time and effort. We got to fly there. Obviously, it costs a lot of money. So we need to constantly evolve and understand, okay, this conference makes sense. This one doesn't, because there's so many of them. This channel on social media makes sense. We see the impact of it, or that we're always evaluating and seeing where should we invest our money or not. I'll give you an example just from like a couple of weeks ago. We invested, that wasn't a huge investment, but we did this really cool video of like going on the street and asking random people what they know about their benefits. And it became viral, and it created a ton of buzz. And now we're going to go and create the second episode of it and the third episode, because we're seeing there's so much value to it, even though we still haven't seen the exact ROI, because no deals have closed because of that video, obviously, and I'm not expecting them to. But it helped create our brand as an industry leader, as a thought leader, as a company that people will go to when they need to know about their brand.
So you talk about brand, and happy to elaborate on this. Almost any marketing research showed that building a brand is a crucial for long-term success, especially when we're talking, we have those leads that we can generate by performance, but eventually they're capped. And if you want to be in the $100 million employee, you need to build a brand. In the other hand, as you said, and building a brand is very, very expensive. On the other hand, you say we're a startup and we focus and we have the main KPI of revenue. And when is the point that you said, or you're going to say, hey, now we need to push a lot of efforts into brand, and we know that we will see 2 years from now, because people will be more familiar with us and will feel more comfortable and will think alone on Healthee when they're struggling with this problem?
We're not building a company for the next year. We're building a company for the next 10, 20 years. And our goal is, again, to have as many employees on the platform. And some of these employees are only going to go on the platform in 2 years and 3 years. We're going to keep growing. We've grown. We've exploded this year. We want to explode again next year. So we're not building a company just for the next year, or even for the next funding round. we're building a company that's here to last. And we're building a company that's going to make a huge change for the healthcare system in the US, right? We're not trying to change the healthcare system because it's by design, but we're trying to change people's behavior. We're trying to help employees and their family members be smarter consumers. And that's what we're doing. And in that mindset of building a huge company that's here to last, that's here to make a significant impact on people's lives, we got to remember that there's some investments that we're going to make that are not, we're not going to see the ROI on them tomorrow or in the next quarter, or maybe not next year. But we're building the foundations for a big company, for a huge company. And those foundations include the brand, right? We can't expect that in 2 years, if we don't make any investment, that our brand is suddenly going to become, a household name. It will become a household name. It will take some time, but we need to make those efforts now and build the foundation for that today. And again, our marketing team, and especially our VP marketing, knows that. He's not trying to build a company for 2024. We're all trying to build a beast here that's going to completely change the lives of millions and millions of people in the US, and hopefully at some point in the world, right? Not just in the US, because everybody could use better access to healthcare. Everybody should be able to enjoy the benefits of AI when it comes to their health and to one of the things that is the most complicated thing in their lives, which is navigating healthcare.
So following up on this question and try to go into the details, because I know this can be very interesting. Without going into the numbers, does your marketing team have a budget that is separate for brand and one budget that is separate for let's make revenue for the next quarter?
First of all, I don't think so, because I'm sure they have their own. There's a budget for marketing, and they have like, okay, this is going to go to social media, this is going to go to conferences, this is going to go for brand awareness, this is going to go for webinar, this is going to go for product marketing, for internal, right? Internal for our customers. But at the end of the day, I also think we got to remember that they don't have to be disconnected so much, right? Like building a brand is also going to improve our pipeline, and building a brand will improve our engagement. And if employees suddenly hear, my vision is that a new employee comes to a company, they start working there, and they say, well, you don't have Healthee, so how am I supposed to navigate my health benefits? How are you helping your employees navigate their health benefits? And how are you reducing cost of your health benefits, right? That's kind of like the vision. Like it becomes kind of like a table stakes. An employee joins a new company and they're looking for that solution for the Healthee solution. And for that, you need to build a brand. You need to keep selling. You need to grow. You need to expand. You need to not even our, by the way, the fact that we're constantly innovating and delivering and adding features to our product and improving the capabilities and the offering, that's also part of our brand, right? Like it's also part of our branding, because we're a brand that doesn't stand still. We're a brand that keeps innovating and delivering. Customers that see us in a specific point in time and then they see us again in 6 months, they always say, wow, you guys are not stopping. You're constantly adding more and more things to the platform, and they love it. And that's the brand that I want us to promote, the brand that doesn't stand still, the brand that keeps innovating and delivering.
What's one mistake founders commonly do when working with their marketing team?
I would say there's 2 mistakes. One is not bringing the right people, right? And it's not just for marketing, but let's focus on marketing, right? When you build a brand, when you build a startup, when you're starting from scratch, you need people that are resilient, that are scrappy, that are okay with doing something, trying it, learning from it, failing, trying again. You can't bring somebody who's like going to go and build a marketing strategy for 6 months and then come out and after 6 months out of a cave and try to implement that. That's not going to work. You need people that are going to, from day one, going to work whatever they can to improve it, to increase that pipeline, to build that brand, to build that brand awareness, to bring in leads. You need people that are going to just jump on this. Like that's kind of like what you're looking for. If somebody in an interview tells you, "Oh, give me 3 months or 6 months and I'll build the best strategy," that's not the right approach for a startup. You need somebody that's going to say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to try something. And if it doesn't work, which probably won't, I'll try something else the next day. And that's what I love about our marketing team. That's what we do, right? And then the second mistake, I think, not having the right expectations. And we talked about it, right? If you expect that we do something and you get an ROI immediately, at least in our industry, it doesn't work like that. It takes time. You gotta educate customers. You got to build brand awareness. You got to keep putting things out there. And it's okay if you put a post and there's just 2 likes, right? And then you put another post and then there's 4 likes, and then you just keep growing and you build your brand as a thought leader, as an industry leader. Those things don't happen overnight, and it's not flipping a switch. It's a lot of trial and error, and it takes time. And that's, I think, a second kind of mistakes that founders sometimes do. And then the third, I know I said only 2, but let's talk about a third one, is just not trusting the people that you bring on, right? The worst thing that I can do is tell my marketing team what I think is the right approach for marketing, because I'm not a marketing, and I brought them on because I wanted to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And if I don't take their advice, and if it's fine to give an opinion, but if I don't follow their lead for the professionals and people that have experience in marketing, which I don't, we're not going to be successful. And that's, I think, another mistake that I'm seeing, where you don't trust the experts that you bring on. And it goes not just with marketing, right? It goes with fully trust our VP sales and our VP people and our VP R&D and all of our leadership, because I was never in their shoes, right? There's things that I know I'm good at, and there's things that I definitely know that I'm not as good as them. And you got to make sure that you trust the people that you bring on.
So my next question, and I think that you answer at least some of this, but happy if you can elaborate, is what are the top 3 qualities that you look when you hire your marketing team? Besides, I want to do it now, which you said, and I love it.
It's kind of a tricky question, because I didn't hire our marketing team. Our VP marketing hired the marketing team. But I can tell you, when I hired our VP marketing, there's the same thing that I mentioned before. I wanted somebody that's resilient. I wanted somebody that understand that we're running. It's a let's call it a sprint marathon. It's a marathon that you're just sprinting all the time, and they're okay with it. It's somebody that's okay with failure and learning from failures. And resiliency is exactly that, right? Like, you fall, and how soon you're going to get back up. So that's what I'm looking for. And then if I go one level deeper on our marketing team, same qualities, but also you want to find people that are good at specific thing, right? Like, we have people that are really good with content, that they can create very cool content from scratch, right? That's something that we want. We want people that are really good at finding opportunities to go and get our brand out there, and are really good with creating content for conferences. I was just at I was at 2 conferences last week where I spoke. Obviously, I was heavily relying on the content that our marketing team created. And I think those are kind of like the things that we're looking for. First, you got to bring in, the most important role is your first person that's going to lead the marketing team. In our case, it was Omer, our VP marketing. And then you got to bring people that are passionate about what you're doing, they're resilient, and they each have their own specialty. So they can also create a team that they kind of complement each other, right?
What is the most surprising lesson that you have learned as a founder?
Wow, there's a lot of lessons that I learned that I'm still learning as a founder. I think the biggest one, and we talked a lot about it here, is how important the people that you surround yourself with, right? And how diligent you got to be on picking those people, but also how fast you got to be when you figure out that they're not the right people, to kind of move on and find someone else. Because one thing that I kind of realized, that if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit for them. They can go and be successful somewhere else, and you need someone else with a different skill set. And it's better to move on faster than lingering and trying to see, oh, maybe we can make it work. But again, it's just bringing the right people. I mean, we brought our VP people, Debbie, as like one of the first employees, because we realized that people are what's going to make this company a success or not. And it's worked for us. We have an amazing talent. And it's because we invested so much time and effort in the beginning on bringing the right people and the person to lead the culture of the company, which is our VP people, right? So that's my biggest lesson, because we've done many mistakes in hiring. It's just something that I learned, that if I would have done this over again, there's a lot of people that I think were just not the right fit. And I know now what I'm looking for. I know much better what I'm looking for in our.
What's a common misconception you would like to debunk as a founder?
I think one misconception is that, oh, you raise funds and you're successful. And I think that's not the right way to think about it. If you raise funds, it means that you were successful in showing potential or showing some traction. But being real successful is creating impact on the company, on people's lives. Like, I'm not measuring myself on how much money we raised. I'm measuring myself on how many people's life we're touching, how we're helping them be healthier, how much money we save them, how much revenues we have as a company, and how much we grow. but it's definitely not, I get a lot of, oh, congrats, I saw you raised funding round. And, that's just, that's the first step in the journey, right? Every time to be successful, as a successful company. I mean, that's kind of like, I think, one major misconception. And the second thing is that, or another big one is that it's all about the founders. And I would argue that it's all about the people that the founders surround themselves with, right? That's like your way to be successful.
If you could give yourself one piece of advice when you started this company, what would it be?
I think the main one is it's gonna be tough, but you got to stay resilient, and you're gonna fall many, many, many times. But at the end of the day, it's worth it, and you're learning from every time that you fail, and it's gonna work out. If you keep trying, it's gonna work.
So, Guy, thank you so much. And I will go with the last questions that people actually told me this is their favorite question. Which question did I need to ask? But
Which question you need? You asked most of them. I think it was a very interesting conversation. I love talking about our technology, about like kind of like the AI revolution. Look, AI is just getting better. If you're not getting on the AI train now, you're gonna miss it, and it's gonna be too late. And companies that are not adopting AI in their day-to-day life today, I'm not sure they're gonna be here in a few years. So I think that's one of the things we didn't talk about the fact that we're bringing in technology to help employees be healthier, but also to help companies be stronger, be more successful, grow better, and not spend so much money on healthcare, which today is like the second biggest expense of any company in the US.
thank you so much. I had a great time.